All right, my sweet baby angels, episode 12, Who the Hell Did I Marry? I Married a Man After a Month, the confrontation with Takis. Takis had told me that he wasn't going to come home immediately. He was going to stop at the store and basically make his rounds around the world before he even came home to let me confront him. So I'm sitting at home, pacing back and forth with my poor dogs, almost about to pass out because I haven't eaten all day, literally just like trying to chug water so that I can stay alive, and just not really sure about what I'm going to do and what he can even say to win me back. And all of my friends are like, you need to make sure to take care of yourself. So I had spoken to an attorney. I was kind of trying to get my ducks in a row if divorce was evident. And my mom had also connected me with somebody that would be able to help me move if I needed to. So I was prepared to leave him if I had to. But of course, he did everything that he could to win me back, and this was his tactic. I was telling you that we had a loft, and the loft was on top of the roof. You could see when cars were coming in and going into the garage if you were sitting up there. So I was just up there basically. If I had been a smoker, I would have been chain smoking, but I wasn't a smoker. So I was just up there chugging my water, just watching for his little ass car to come in. I see his car pulling into the garage. I wasn't expecting what time he was going to be home because he told me basically like, I'm going to be home when I'm going to be home. I'm like, I can't believe this man is being so combative when he is the one in the wrong. So I see him coming in and I'm like, you know what? He can climb his ass up the flight of stairs to come and meet me. Like, I'm staying my ass on this roof and waiting for him to come up here. I'm sitting up there with the dogs and we had this big Papa Sun chair that I was just laying in. I just hear his footsteps going up the stairs. I'm like, all right, girl, you got to give it to this man. You got to let him have it. You got to rain hellfire and brimstone on him because he's going to try to grovel and you are not going to let him have it. You're going to make him work for it. The door opens. I look over at him and he's just standing in the doorway. Doesn't say anything, is just looking at me, waiting for me to say something. And I'm like, oh, I can play the staring game all day long, sir. Because if you think that I'm gonna make the first move when you're the one that's been in the wrong, you have another thing coming. This dude, the audacity, he leans on the door frame and he's just crosses his arms and he looks at me and he's like, what do you want me to say? I'm like, literally anything. Sorry, I love you, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Recite the ABCs, something, dude, you know? He just goes, look, nothing happened. I'm like, oh, he's gonna go that angle. This is the angle we're playing. You kissed her. And he goes, okay, right, I kissed her, but like I didn't sleep with her or anything. Oh, so you don't think kissing is not cheating? And he was like, look, I understand, but it was a mistake. It wasn't gonna go anywhere. She knows that I'm married and she's getting married as well. I'm like, these are not things that make it better. The fact that you are completely not even apologetic, you're over here being like, what do you want me to say? It could be worse. No, sir, this is not how this works. Turn your little ass around. We're gonna go into the living room. We're gonna sit down and you, sir, are gonna explain yourself A to Z, exactly the story of what happened. He's like, look, I'm really tired. I'm like, oh, I don't care if you are on your last breath of existence. We're having this conversation now. I shove past his smug ass. I go downstairs, I sit on the couch, and I wait. He comes downstairs begrudgingly, sits down, and he's like, all right, what do you want to know? I'm like, start from the beginning. How did you meet her? He's like, okay. So he tells me, the first Vegas trip, as we suspected, when he went with his job, he met her. She came up to the truck when they were working EDC or EDM, whatever the fucking thing was. She was apparently dressed in a fucking tutu with her stupid ass friends. They were all in different colored tutus. And they were just like chatting and stuff. And apparently they just connected. And she had wanted to come back to the truck the next day when they were going to be there. And so he gave his number to her and her friends so that they could find them. He told her that he could have food ready for them. And I'm like, oh, so you were flirting from the get-go. And he's like, well, I mean, not really. I just gave her my number because she said that she wanted to come back to the truck. Please, sir. Really? You don't just give your number to random ass customers. You obviously thought she was cute. And he was like, sure. This is what he would do. He would never outright admit things. He would always just go like, sure, whatever. You know, very like blase gray area. I'm like, you are calling this bitch baby princess? You called her gorgeous baby princess. You called her my name. And he's just looking at me. And he's like, what do you want me to say? I'm like, do you know how that made me feel? Do you understand how hurtful it is to see the man that you love, who is being avoidant with his love to you, his wife, and him giving that attention and love to this girl? And he was like, look, I get it, but it didn't start off like that. After she came back to the truck, we had chatted, we had a good conversation, and then I went back home and I was like, whatever. And then I was at work and she just ended up texting me and then we just started chatting. And then we ended up just talking like multiple times a day, every day for like a month. And I'm like, okay, so you're emotionally cheating. And he was like, I wasn't emotionally cheating. I'm like, So you don't think that calling another woman I miss you and saying all these romantic things to her is not emotionally cheating? And he's like, look, we weren't flirting or doing anything until this Vegas trip. First of all, lies. Like, I'm sure that's not true, but this is what he was trying to tell me. He was trying to say that because she's a psychologist and a therapist and she's so easy to talk to, that he was just chatting with her about our problems and stuff, which I'm like, yes, we always had problems, but you were being extremely avoidant during that month. So clearly something was going on in your brain because you were acting even more different to me. So then apparently she was saying that she was going to be in Vegas for her bachelorette party. Takis had decided that he was going to go on his little trip at the same time and that they were going to meet up. And on the trip, they did meet up, they did kiss, they did hold hands, they flirted and everything, but that's the furthest to the extent that it went. And I'm like, do you have feelings for her? And he's like, no. I'm like, so why were you telling her all these intimate details? Like, I miss you, and being incredibly affectionate with her and being emotionally available with her, things that you should be with me, calling her pet names. And he's like, I don't know. It just like felt nice. It felt like it was something finally for me that I was able to just have something that was just my own. Guys, that is some insidious freaking talk. Like, for a man to say like, oh, wifey, I just wanted my little side piece girl that I could flirt with because I don't get anything. I'm like, you are an asshole. The fact that you don't see what is wrong with the situation is mind-boggling to me. And I just start screaming at him. I'm hysterically crying. I am disgusted with him. I was like, you know what? I can't do this with you. I spoke to a divorce attorney. He's like, divorce attorney? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, we're not getting a divorce. I'm like, you don't see what you did wrong? Guys, I understand that this sounds crazy to you because it sounds crazy to me now. But remember, I was 21 and I did not know what the hell I was doing. And this man was gaslighting me. And now that I look back at it, clearly all the signs are there because they say that hindsight is 20/20. Like, it's so true. I would not do the same things that I did back then if I knew them now or if this had happened to me now. Takis literally was shocked that I would even talk about the option of divorce or breaking up. Like, this is how mind-fucked this man was. I'm like, no. You're going to go figure out a place to stay so I can figure out what I want to do. And he's like, what are you talking about? Like, we're going to get through this. The thing with her was always going to end. It was never going to go anywhere. I'm like, so then why did you do it? And he's like, I don't know. He's like, I just needed an escape because work was really stressful and I needed someone to escape with that didn't need something from me, that wasn't something that I was responsible for. I'm like, you know what? I am so sorry. I am so sorry that me, being your wife, making sure that you can stay in this fucking country, getting you citizenship, turning my life around to accommodate yours has been such an inconvenience on you, and that you just can't escape your daily problems. But brother, you chose this life. And I sacrificed so much to give you the life that you have. The fact that you were being so selfish and inconsiderate, and the fact that you do not see what you did wrong, is incredibly problematic. He's like, all right, I'm going to go stay at Dino's for a little while, and then you can figure out what you want to do. I'm like, great, get the hell out of my house. So he leaves. I am just absolutely distraught, you guys. I call my mom, and my mom was like, do you want me to come stay with you? I'm like, yes, can you come stay with me for a little bit? I don't want to be around him. So my mommy comes, she stays with me for a week. She helps me take care of the dog. She's kind of helping me with chores and housework and getting my life together because I am absolutely unsure of how to proceed. I was very determined to figure out what the next move was. And Takis is texting me every day being like, look, I'm really sorry. I love you. We can work this out. Like, can we work this out? And meantime, I am still logged into his iMessages, y'all. So I can still see the messages. And he is still talking to this woman. Now, the text messages have slightly changed to where they are now just kind of discussing. She's just like, oh, so your wife knows, like, what do you want to do? And nothing was going to ever happen. It was just an escape for both of us. And I'm just over here eating my popcorn with a front row seat to this, y'all. But I can't believe that this man is still emotionally leaning on her and he is still connected with this woman. You know, my mom being there talking to lawyers and everything, or realizing that divorce was such a pain in the ass. Like, we just signed a new lease. My mom's like, maybe you guys should try couples therapy. And I'm like, oh God, fine. So the last day that my mom is there staying with me, I tell Takis that he can come home because she's leaving, but that we need to do couples therapy. And then we can see if we can work through this, but I'm still not sure how I feel about it. And he's like, okay, great. So he comes home, we're chatting. I am just feeling kind of numb. I had done a lot of crying, not eating, losing like 10 pounds and being very, very sad. And at this point, I'm just like, do I even like this guy anymore? Like, I don't even trust him. And y'all, listen to that first voice because As we all know, if a man cheats on you once, he will do it again. And I have lived and I have learned, and that is a lesson that I will take with me now to the grave. At the time, I'm young, naive, divorce seemed like a huge pain in the ass. We both also had both of our names on the truck that he had invested in because we had invested together. So my name was attached to it. My name was also attached to the new restaurant that they were opening. So not only were we married, but we were also basically like business partners. Now I was kind of a silent partner, but I was getting some things from the truck and from the business. So my name was there. So these were other problems. Y'all really be sure if you're going to marry someone that you are prepared that this is going to be a lifelong thing, because undoing your life from someone else's is actually the hardest and worst thing that I've ever had to do. But I didn't do it right now. No, it took me a few more years to understand that and make more mistakes. So we go to couples therapy. We're talking to our therapist about it. Our therapist is like, okay, so Takis, do you want to work this out? And he was like, yes, I'm really sorry. She's the love of my life. I don't want to lose her. And I was just going through something, but like it will never happen again. Famous last words. She's like, okay, and Kat, like what would you need from him to regain trust? And I was like, well, first of all, I know that he's been still talking to that girl, so he would need to break things off with her. And Takis' face, he's just like this. How do you know? I'm like, because. How do you think I know? I know. It doesn't matter how I know, but I know. And he's like, okay, yes, I will break things off with her, obviously, but nothing's been happening. Like, she's just been kind of helping me through it. And the therapist was like, brother, you can't be emotionally leaning on another woman. This is what started the whole problem in the first place. You're married. That is your partnership. That is the person that you should be going head on with problems with. And if you have a problem with your wife, you need to be talking to her, not talking to another one about it. You need to have this conversation with the woman. Kat, is this something that you need to be privy to so that you feel good? And I was like, yes, absolutely. And Takis was like, okay, fine. So this is the thing I realized about marriage counselors, okay? And I was told this from a friend years ago, and he had a very good friend that was a very highly paid, very successful marriage counselor that couples that go into marriage counseling don't actually end up together. There are obviously that percent where things end up working out. But if you are at that point, well, you got to look at things. This therapist, she really felt like we were able to figure things out. And I'm kind of talking about how I discovered it, how I found out. So the way that the therapist's office was is 2 leather couches and a small table in between. And we're like sitting maybe like 3 feet from the therapist, and him and I are sitting on the couch together. And I'm looking at her and I'm like, yeah, so I was at home. I was hanging out with my friend Petros. And Takis is next to me. I feel the couch shift. Sound of the letters like, "Rrr." And it's like The Crypt Keeper or a creepy movie, just him turning and looking at me. He's like, what do you mean Petros is at the house? I'm like, yeah, I was lonely and I was worried and I was freaking out and nobody could come hang out with me. So Petros came over and he's like, and what happened? I'm like, don't you look at me like I'm the one under scrutiny, okay? And the therapist is like, okay, Takis, like, let her finish. Let's finish it up. So I say, Petros came over. We wanted to watch a movie. We didn't have snacks. So we went to go get snacks. We came back. We chatted. We watched the movie, and then he left, and then I was freaking out, and then I looked at the phone bill, and then I researched the number. I'm going through all the things, right? And Takis is looking at me now like I am the one under the light. I am the Law and Order victim. Looking at him like, boy, you do not have a leg to stand on. Don't you start with me. We finished the session. We're walking out of the building. The glass door hadn't even barely shut behind me. And Takis looks at me and he goes, how did you get to the store? Like, what are you talking about? He's like, you said that Petros came to the house and you guys went to the store to get snacks. How did you get there? Because keep in mind, at this time in our lives, we only had one car that we were sharing, and Takis had taken the car to drive to Vegas. So I didn't have a car at the time. And I was like, he's had his motorcycle, so we rode on the motorcycle. Takis also had a motorcycle that we had at the house, and it was something that we did together, and he had this like bro motorcycle mentality. And he goes, so you're telling me that you rode on the back of another man's motorcycle? And I was like, yeah. And what do you have to say about it? And he goes, don't ever do that again. Y'all, I lost my damn mind on this man. I was like, how dare you? You have no room to talk. We're literally in therapy right now because you cheated on me. And he's like, I didn't cheat on you. I'm like, oh my God, this is part of the problem. The part of the problem is that you don't realize that what you did was cheating. Even if you hadn't kissed her, which kissing, newsflash, is cheating. You emotionally cheated, and now you're coming on me because I rode on the back of another man's bike? Grow up. So we're arguing all the way back to the house. Back to the house, we get into a huge argument. We're going back and forth. Finally, he ends up apologizing. And I'm like, okay, you need to break things off with that woman today. And he was like, why today? I'm like, what do you mean, why today? Are you kidding me? Like, we need to start this new chapter of our life. We're going to try to rebuild. You need to call her today. And he's like, I don't think that she's available. I'm going to have to text her. I'm like, all right, text her. He ends up having to go to work, and he tells me he's going to text there. Meanwhile, I still have a front row seat, and here's the text messages, y'all. So they were trying to coordinate when they could speak, and he was like, I'm still at the store. I'll let you know when I'm leaving. She was like, yeah, I'll let you know. And then he said, on my way home, let's talk tomorrow, please, if you have time. And she says, sure, just text and let me know. I'll be free between these times. And he said, okay. And then that same day, it was after the conversation him and I had where I was like, take care of this now. He says, hey, I would prefer to do this through the phone, but I promised Kat, my wife, so this woman didn't even know my name, that I would do this today. I can't text or call you anymore. I gave my word that I'm going to try and make things better, and I really want to keep my word. I know you'll understand. And then she said, of course I do. Do your thing, and I wish you good luck with all your endeavors. And he said, thank you. You too. Notice that he said, I gave my word that I'm going to try to make things better, and I really want to keep my word. Notice how that has to do with him wanting to do something for himself, being a man of his word, not, and I really want to make my wife feel better and safe. And I really want to make this marriage work because I love my wife. He's talking about him wanting to hold himself to a standard based on him that has nothing to do with me. Then he actually texts me screenshots of the conversation being like, look, it's done. I'm like, cool. He comes home that day, and I don't feel good about it. I still am just angry. I don't like the way he handled it. And I just tell him, look, I thought about it, and I need some actual time away from you. I need like a good few weeks or a month or something. So can you go stay at Dino's for a while? And he was like, are you kidding me? No, like we can work this out. We're in therapy. Let's try to figure this out. I'm like, no. I need to actually be alone with my thoughts, away from you, away from your wooing, and see that if this is something that I can get over. That's my hard line. And he was like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to be working a lot on the truck, and they were opening the store as well. So he moves out for about a month and a half. He goes and stays with Dino, and he says, so are we on a break? Like, what's the deal? And I said, no, we're broken up. I want to have the freedom to date other people if I want, and you can do whatever the hell you want. Maybe you'll get it out of your system and realize what it is that you actually want, and maybe this isn't what you actually want. Maybe I'm not actually who you want. Maybe you're just in it for the green card. Maybe you're just here because I was an easy target. And he's like, how dare you say that? You know that I love you. Why would I build this whole life with you? Blah, blah, blah. He was really not happy about the fact that I said that I wanted to have the freedom to date other people, but I was like, look, this is the hard line, and if you want to try to make this work, this is the ultimatum. So he moves out. I end up going on some dates with people. I'm figuring out what I want. Honestly, guys, that like month and a half, I had a great time. Sweet men. I had some good sex. I was out trolloping, doing the nightlife thing, clubbing. I was living. And at the end of it, I was thinking like, you know what? Maybe I really can live without him. Maybe I can undo our life and I can move on. We can work out the stuff business with the truck. I can go through this divorce. Maybe I can figure this out and I can get my life back. But then, guys, about week 6 or 7, I'm standing in my kitchen, cooking some food, talking to the dogs, and I just hear front door unlocking. And I'm like, is this homie really coming inside before I've told him that I'm ready for him to come home? The door opens. He's got this huge thing of sunflowers. He's got a box, and his arm is wrapped with something. You guys, this man, he walks in. I'm like, are you joking me? And he's like, look, I realize I can't live without you. I want to try to make this work. Anything that you need, whatever you need to feel safe, I'm willing to do it. But I love you, and you're the future mother of my children, even though I said I didn't want kids. And I want to grow old with you. And to show that, I have done something that I've never done before to prove to you that what I want with you is forever. Y'all, sunflowers. Cool. In the box was this beautiful gold and diamond infinity necklace. And third, he unwraps his fucking arm to show this. Yes, you guys, that is a half-done tattoo of yours truly. He had gotten a picture of me to a tattoo artist, sat there for like 2 days, 3 days, got half of it done, and put my damn face on his arm. Something that A, I told him never to do, B, I thought he would never do, and C, yes, this is when I had long voluptuous hair, which hopefully I will be getting back again. I screamed when I saw that this man did this. But this is the lengths that men will go, even as cheaters, to try to prove they're not cheaters, y'all. Diabolical. So yeah, y'all. Upcoming next, episode 13. after I see that this man has maimed himself in order to prove his love to me, how we moved up from this, how we tried to rebuild things, and then the eventual fall again. Love you guys.